On Fresno State Focus, we talk about this historic presidential election.
Plus, we visit a couple of election watch parties and talk about that with the candidates.
And I'll have the latest ballot results. Fresno State Focus starts now.
Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Jacqueline Alvarez.
And I'm Brian Welch. A former president is once again president-elect, and history is made with Donald Trump re-elected to win the White House.
He announced his successful win last night at 11:30 Pacific Time as the Associated Press, CNN, and the New York Times called the race. This is the first time a former president has been re-elected since Grover Cleveland back in 1884. Trump is also the first convicted felon to be elected president and the oldest at the age of 78. This afternoon, Vice President Harris conceded the election, but then added that she does not concede the fight that fueled the campaign. The U.S. House of Representatives races are still a toss-up, so it's not certain which party will control the House.
If the Republicans win the House as well, then Donald Trump will have a much easier time passing his agenda.
Taking a look at our House races and beyond, all of our results are from the Associated Press and California.gov. We start with District 13, a repeat from 2022, one of the tightest races in the country. Right now, Republican John Duarte is leading Democratic Adam Gray. It may be some time before this race is called. In the South Valley of District 22, this is a rematch. Incumbent Republican David Valadao is leading challenger Democratic Rudy Salas, but it's also a tight race.
The 21st Congressional District is another rematch from 2022 between longtime Congressman Jim Costa and veteran and former FBI agent Michael Maher. Costa has served since 2005. This is a tight race as well, with Costa slightly in the lead. The 20th District will now be represented by Vince Fong. Mike Boudreau conceded. Fong is already serving the remainder of the term, vacated by former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. A winner is already declared for the 5th Congressional District. Republican Tim McClintock beat Mike Barkley.
So a Republican president is going back to the White House and will now have the support of a Republican-controlled Senate.
Donald Trump did not win California, and the senator from our state, Adam Schiff, is a Democrat. Schiff won the seat that opened with the death of former Senator Dianne Feinstein, beating out Republican Steve Garvey.
Both David Tanhipa and George Radonovich are still waiting for final results. But right now, Fresno State graduate Tanhipa is leading for the State Assembly District Seat 8.
It looks like incumbent for State Assembly District 27 may be keeping her seat. The race is not called yet, but the vote count is getting wider. Esmeralda Soloria is leading the race against Fresno State alum and tax auditor Joanne Garcia Rose, a Republican. The incumbent also keeps his seat in Assembly District 31. Dr. Joaquin Arambula holds a large lead over Republican challenger Talam Veracruz.
And finally, State Assembly District 21 gets a newcomer. Incumbent Devin Mathis is retiring and supports fellow Republican and small business owner Alexandra Macedo to take his place. She holds a larger margin over dairyman Xavier Avila. We had a lot of propositions on the ballot, and in true form, some of them were very confusing.
Did a yes vote mean yes or no to a proposal? Let's look. Prop 2 is the top $10 billion bond measure to improve and upgrade K-12 and community college campuses around our state. It passed.
Prop 3 passed, and it changes the wording in the state constitution to give anyone the fundamental right to marry regardless of race or sex. This is in keeping with federal law that passed in 2013, allowing same-sex marriages nationwide. Prop 4 is passing. It will authorize $10 billion to go towards parks, environments, energy, and water bonds. It also mandates the money is audited to make sure it's being used as intended.
Now let's look at Proposition 5. This is about lowering the voter threshold from 65 to 55% for local bond measures to fund housing and public infrastructure. Voters are not approving this proposition. Proposition 6 is the one about inmates being forced to work while serving their time in prison. No votes lead this one, which means that the prisoners will not be forced to work, but they can choose to if they want to.
Raising the minimum wage with Prop 32 is failing. So that likely means a bump to $17 an hour will happen in 2026 instead of being forced to start immediately. Prop 33 is about rent control on residential property. A yes vote meant no limits of rent control laws. A no vote, which is leading, means limits on rent control would continue.
Now we look at Proposition 34. This is about restricting spending of prescription drugs revenue by certain healthcare professionals. This is a close one with the yes vote slightly ahead. Just two more to go, folks, as Proposition 35 calls for permanent funding for Medi-Cal healthcare services. So far, the yes votes are leading. And finally, Proposition 36. This overwhelmingly supports to increase sentences for certain drug and theft crimes.
What's it like for all of these candidates to wait for the ballots to be counted and find out their fate? I went out, along with other members of our team, to a few election night parties. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at election night as workers and candidates awaited the results. As each ballot comes in from Fresno County, election workers prepare votes to be counted at the election warehouse at the Fresno Fairgrounds. Staff bring ballots to the warehouse by truck, plane, and digitally with a secure chip device using a drive-through system. They check in and cross off when each chip has arrived to be put into the system. Behind secured fences, workers sort and count the vote-by-mail ballots. Waiting for everything to come in at different times can take all night.
But yeah, so we've got that whole range. So it actually will take us quite a while. We actually have some places like Kalinga that are so far away that we've actually asked the sheriff to assist us to bring those records back in. They'll be flying back the memory card so we can get that a little quicker.
Stakes are high as the ballot chips come in, but candidates across town are eager to celebrate. After the polls close, David Tanhipa, who's running for the District 8 Assembly seat, is hunkered down, waiting for that call to see if he won. Tanhipa talked with his supporters at his election night party at Fieldhouse Restaurant with his family by his side.
I haven't seen them a lot because I've been working on this campaign for over 560 days. So to get to celebrate with my family and see them, I've got all of my brothers here. I got my sister here and her kids and my mother. So I think we may be able to celebrate together and have some fun.
On the other side of town, Tanhipa's opponent, former U.S. Congressman George Radonovich, is waiting for the same call. He says he's relieved that all of his hard work has led up to this night.
I feel good about the fact that I made my case to the voters, and that's the best you can hope for. Then on election night, you just sit back and they make the decisions, you know.
Fresno County voters cast more than 200,000 ballots on election night, about 40% of registered voters. More ballots are being counted as we speak. That's about half the number from 2020, when 74% of registered voters cast ballots. Overall, this year, Fresno County had a significant voter turnout, and election workers at the warehouse will be counting all forms of voting for the next few days. Voter turnout in the United States is reportedly down 20 million votes from the last presidential election in 2020.
Al Scott is live in downtown Fresno to visit with James Cuss, the Fresno County Clerk's Register of Voters, to find out why. Al?
Thank you for joining us today, James. Voter ballots were down throughout the county, despite long lines here and at the Same Art Center and throughout the county. Is there an explanation for that?
So we've tabulated 206,000 ballots, which is about a 40%, or just over 40% turnout so far. But that's just the start. We've got another 100,000 ballots already received of processing right now, plus more coming in from the U.S. Postal Service. So that number is going to go up over 60% and get much closer to where we were in November of 2020.
So you were here late last night. How long were you here?
So we were doing operations all the way into the small hours of the morning to actually 3 o'clock at the hospital for the.
And so the ballots aren't done being counted at all. How long will it take, and how long will the results take for it to be all done?
We'll be counting ballots, processing ballots for the next 7 days. We'll be doing results updates tomorrow, November 7th, and then next week on Tuesday and Friday. And by that point, middle of next week, we'll have about 97% of all ballots tabulated. But it just takes a little while. We've got 100,000 ballots. We just go through those, and take a look at all of them, review every single signature that's on there. So it takes a little time. So we appreciate everyone's patience.
Well, thank you for your insight, James, and I will give it back to you in the studio. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you, Al. Students got involved in an election with a watch party. The Student Affairs and ASI partnered with each other to host the watch party at the RSU building. There was treats, juice, drawings for all the students. As the students were watching the election together, there was one takeaway that they learned.
We wanted to practice civility, being decent to each other, and us being able to gather in one place, even if we have different views, and watch the election results come in.
Up on Fresno State's ASI social media page. Long lines of students waited to vote at the Save Mart Center last evening. They wanted to make sure their voices were heard. Some people believe that voting is gender biased, while others disagreed. Kamala Harris is one of 5 women who have run as major party candidates. All types of people showed up to vote yesterday. A lot of them talked about the effect gender had on the outcome.
I feel like more men are gonna vote towards Trump than for Kamala because she is a woman. And I feel like our society isn't prepared or educated enough to really be ready for a woman to take control.
When it comes to voting, my gender, my sexual identity are the last things that I'm concerned about on these ballots.
Yeah, I think to some degree because I think people have different values and it depends on certain genders as well.
To me, it's bias, honestly. So we do need, all of us do need to make the change for ourselves and our families and our kids, especially special needs kids.
I believe voting based off gender. I feel like a majority of the people aren't, but I think statistically there are going to be a couple people out there who will.
Unfortunately, I do think that people will take gender into their consideration probably more than is necessary. For, if nothing else, for the fear of the unknown.
So I feel like some guys would probably lean more towards Trump, but I feel like more of the guys that I know are leaning more towards Kamala.
Agree that voting is biased. Making your voice heard is important.
As election results came in, the country stopped to watch. We are joined by political science professor Dr. Thomas Holyoke. Dr. Holyoke, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
Now, I was wondering, we know that a Republican won the White House and Republicans hold the Senate. How likely will the House be turned to red as well?
Well, it's getting more and more likely that Republicans will also take the House of Representatives. A lot of the really contested marginal seats seem to be breaking for the Republicans.
And what does that mean for policymaking?
It means that the Republicans will have a complete lock on the government. It will make it relatively easy for them to enact President-elect Trump's agenda. Basically the policies that he wants to have passed, he can expect Congress to largely go and do it for him.
Wow. And gender played a big role in this election. What could we learn from that?
Well, gender does seem to have played a big role. In fact, of all the different kinds of divisions that could have led to this outcome, gender seems to be the biggest, especially retired women and women with college degrees largely went for Harris. That means those are areas where Trump is weak and doesn't have a lot of support. It also means that Democrats in the future need to grow their ability to attract women, but also to especially attract men.
That is very interesting. And now with Prop 36, that was passed. What does that say about how people feel about crime?
Well, crime is always a big issue. Usually it's the second biggest issue in an election behind the economy. And this year in California, there's been a lot of concern about crime. And that's, I think, why we're seeing such a huge result, a huge yes result for Prop 36.
All right. And I was wondering, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we should know as an audience after these elections?
Well, this is what's happened in the presidential race. This is a big deal. This is a big momentous comeback for Donald Trump. It's also it's a very polarizing election, and somehow as a people, as an American people, we need to find a way to go forward and kind of work together for our common problems to be able to put aside a lot of this partisan rancor that seems to have really infected our elections.
Thank you, Dr. James Holyoke, for joining us.
Thank you.
In the winter.
Our colors are blue, and our waves are red. Bulldog born and bulldog bred. Generations linked forever by traditions that have stood the test of time. Inside our stadiums, we are one. This is our valley, and this year, we're doing it for you.
At Fresno State, being bold means committing to something greater than yourself. It's learning by doing and nurturing leaders to advance our shared future. It's using research to create a better life for those around us and healing those who need us most. These are our stories, because at Fresno State, bold begins here.
Hi everyone, I'm Mason B with your Focus on Weather. Here's a shot outside from the Resnick Student Union. As you can see, it's a little breezy out there and a little calm, nothing too much to worry about. And moving on to your national satellite, a little moisture out there, a little rain off to the distance, nothing too much to worry about. And then over in the Florida Keys area, not too much to worry about. There's possibly a hurricane coming next week. And then moving on into your western satellite, off in the distance, the Pacific Ocean, there's some moisture off in the distance, about a 50% chance of rain, so hopefully that will verify. And then moving on to your today's highs, you're in Fresno, you're at 68, and then Shaver Lake, you're at 48. And then moving on to the lows, Fresno, you're at 45, and then Madera, you're at 39, and then Shaver Lake, you're at 29. And then moving on to your air quality, pretty much moderate for the entire region. You got Merced at the green category, and then Kern also in the good as well. And then moving on to your extended outlook, 50% chance of rain for your Veterans Day. And then on Tuesday of next week, you're at the high of 64, and then Wednesday at 66. And that's your Focus on Weather. Back to you.
Hey, Mason, we just had a time change on Sunday, and the holidays are right around the corner. Here are some ways to stay safe during the winter months. The leaves are changing here in the San Joaquin Valley, and cooler temperatures are approaching fast. Many people will use space heaters to keep themselves warm. CAL FIRE's Gary Couch says that having space around your heater is important to stay safe.
What you want to do is you want to make sure you want to keep like a 3-foot clearance around them. So make sure nothing falls on them or they fall over, and make sure you turn them off when you leave the room.
Another tool to keep you safe this winter is smoke detectors. Ace Hardware manager Adam Klusner says they save lives.
It's also important that you check that they function. A lot of people have older smoke alarms from years and years ago that don't work, and they don't know it until it's too late. So it's always good to test those on a regular basis.
According to Freakonomics.com, there has been an increase in smoke detectors in homes around the nation. Even here at Fresno State, students who live in the dorms right behind me are aware of fire safety. Like kinesiology major Connor Wallace, he says being aware of fire danger is important.
Well, my dad's in CAL FIRE, so it makes it a little bit easier. Keep things away from the outlets as much as possible. No metal, no paper, or anything of that such, cloth, anything of that material.
Remember about carbon monoxide alarms as well to keep you safe this winter. Shifting gears from fire safety to fire technology, here at Fresno State, technology has been built to help firefighters. To learn more, I'm now joined by Havanis Kalanjian to learn more. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. So, in the last couple of weeks, your patent was granted. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so we're excited to have this patent. It took 3 years to patent it. And I also have my students as co-inventors. So this is a system and method for human and animal detections, and could be used for firefighters to detect humans or animals in zero visibility. So when firefighters go to the missions and it's really smoky, so they can use this device either as a handheld device, or you could deploy it on a drone, like you see here, the drone, or you could also deploy it on a rover and you send it for a mission. So the beauty of this device is that it has all the intelligence, artificial intelligence. So it has 3 sensors, mainly the radar, a microphone array, as well as infrared. So those sensors are able to intercept and pass through smoke. and you can get images and information, whether there's human or not. And they work hand in hand using machine learning algorithms. And this information, the pertinent information, is relayed to the firefighters or person in charge so that before they go to the scene, they already know what to expect, how many people there are, what are their status, if they need help. Someone might be suffocating, so we have this microphone array detecting all the instances, what they're saying. Someone might be bleeding. So this information would be relayed to the firefighter department, and they know before they go to the scene what to expect.
Well, that's good to hear. And quick question, we have like 10 seconds. When will it be given to firefighters?
So once we develop and have this product available, so they can make use of it, but we have a working prototype that's working and have been proven. So the next step would be to mass produce and release it to the firefighters to use it.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you so much for hopping on, Professor Curley and GN.
Glad to be here.
Of course,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Coming up in sports, we talk about the Bulldogs losing to Hawaii and what's next.
There's a trans person they experience. Stay tuned.
I got the Bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that Bulldog spirit up in my head. Up in my head to say. I got that Bulldog spirit deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that Bulldog spirit deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that Bulldog spirit down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that Bulldog spirit down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that Bulldog spirit up in my head, deep in my heart, down in my toes. I got that Bulldog spirit all over me to stay. I got that Bulldog spirit
deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart, deep in my heart. I got that Bulldog spirit.
I'm Bianca Gonzalez with your Focus on Sports. Women's volleyball team is on the road this week. The Dogs have been red hot, looking to extend their record to 10-3 and win 7 in a row. Last week on Thursday and Saturday, the Dogs swept New Mexico and Air Force, taking 3 sets in a row to win both matches. The Fresno State women's basketball team is back in action as they welcome Fresno Pacific on Monday. The Sunbirds dominated early, good shooting from the shot from Anissa Rio. The Sunbirds shot well from Bree Hurt. The Bulldogs came back and scored on the other end with Mia Jacobs. When it rains, it pours, and the Dogs in the second half shot the ball well from beyond the arc. The Bulldogs ran away with the lead and the game. The Dogs get the win against FPU 72-46. Head coach Jamie White says defense was the key in the victory.
I thought we defended well, but early we didn't rebound as well as I'd like to, and we turned the ball over too much. Second half got rolling, and I thought our defense really turned it up.
The Bulldogs are back in action this Saturday against Santa Clara. Last week, MLB reporter Heidi Watney came to Fresno State to speak with MCJ students about what it's like to report in the big leagues. I talked with Heidi about her role in representing women in sports and what it took to get into MLB.
Fans are certainly billing this as a World Series preview.
Heidi Watney is a sports reporter from Clovis, California, who made her way into the big leagues.
It's a lot of fun. I get to be back in the field, on the field, doing all the player interviews, manager interviews.
With baseball being a male-dominated sport, Heidi has opened a door for other women, like Angelique Martinez, who is the only sports anchor at KC24 and CBS 47. She has a lot of appreciation for Heidi's work.
First of all, with Heidi, she represents the Central Valley at a national level for women in sports, which is really impressive, and a lot of women look up to her.
And when you don't see Heidi reporting in MLB, you may see her at Valley Trophies representing the Red Wave or reporting for the Pac-12.
Fresno State broadcast journalism student McKenna Deeth also wants to work in sports. Seeing someone like Heidi work in baseball and football inspires her to keep doing what she loves.
People like Heidi are really doing wonders for this industry because they're allowing people like me to look up to them and have a source of inspiration in them.
It doesn't stop with McKenna. At Fresno State, a lot of students want to go into sports broadcasting. Heidi offers her advice to help them make it to the big leagues.
Don't listen to the noise. Just follow what you want to do. But you're going to need reps, you're going to need practice, and you're going to need to read a lot. So, hope you like reading.
That with Heidi Watney. You can follow her on social media at Heidi Watney or catch her reporting on the 12th Pack games on CW Network. Fresno State football is getting ready to take on Air Force. The Dogs over the weekend fell to Hawaii 21-20. The Dogs led throughout the game with Elijah Gilliam running it in for 6. The Dogs defense took a tough with this pick 6 from Phoenix Jackson. Jackson was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Week with his performance. Interim head coach Tim Skipper says this week of preparation is key against the Air Force.
And then we have to get ready for an option team, so that's never easy no matter what. So we're going to have to get our focus back and get ready to go. They're going to time possession the game, so we're on offense. We're going to have to put points up. You don't get extra opportunities, so we're going to have to take advantage of every possession we get, and we're going to have to stop them. It's going to be a time possession battle.
Kickoff between the Dogs and the Falcons is at 6:45 on Saturday. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the 2024 World Series champions and finally got to celebrate with the parade after missing out in 2020. I went down to Los Angeles and I got to see the parade and asked Dodger fans what their reaction was to seeing their team win it all.
It's a dream come true. I mean, we've been wanting for this. Everyone, maybe there's an asterisk on the 2021, but this one is definitely for sure, no questions asked. It's a dream come true.
It's one of the greatest times I've ever experienced.
Can't even express my feelings for that, dude. We won. We're here with everybody now.
Every game kept us on the edge of our seats. It would have been nice to get the sweep, but we had to give them one at least, I guess.
I was super excited. I was alone in my apartment, but I was literally like screaming up and down.
Unbelievable. I didn't think they were going to win that game, but I knew they were going to win.
I love LA! Woo! I'm so happy they won!
Let's go Dodgers!
That's your Focus on Sports. Back to you guys.
Hey, thank you, Bianca. There's going to be a big change for Fresno State's Rec Center.
It was announced on Instagram that it will be closed from November 25th through January 15th. They're calling it a refresh project and that it will be worth the wait. Did you see what happened at the Memorial Fountain today? The fountain looks more like a bathtub. Look at the suds. This is not the first time that this has happened. It may be funny at first, but we're told it can cause problems for the pipes of the fountain.
And I mean, I was out there at lunch because I like eating my lunch outside. I mean, people were looking at it. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, at my hometown, we have a fountain, and one of the senior pranks was people years ago put soap in the thing. What do you think about that, Jackie?
I mean, I actually haven't personally seen it, so I've never seen anything like that before. Is it full everywhere? There's bubbles all over the place?
It looked like it was bubbles all over the place. Not on the top, but like on the bottom area, like right by the sidewalk. It kind of looked like a bunch of hills.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder when that happened. Was it earlier this morning? Or maybe somewhere in the middle of the night? I mean, someone's out there with soap.
I think somebody this afternoon had it. Somebody this afternoon did it.
Oh, they did?
Wait, I don't know.
I wonder where they saw that. Next time on Fresno State Focus, why your support on local business help is really helpful.
Plus, as we get closer to finals and graduating, we'll show you a way to take out your anger and other emotional safety.
Also, more information on the closing of the rec center.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Yeah, I mean, with the soap, like you have